Hey, what's happening, family? It's your man, Mark Black. I want to thank all of you in advance for coming to watch this special broadcast. There was a reason why I didn't do Sucker Free Saturday, as you all well know. I didn't do Sucker Free Saturday because there was still quite a few of the family that was still in Louisville, right? The conference did go on um, for let's see, there was Friday and then a part of the day Saturday. So rather than I coming on and discussing the broadcast, um, even though they hadn't actually completed, or discussing the conference, even though they hadn't actually completed the conference, I wanted to take some time, let everybody get home, do their thing, get relaxed, and then have an opportunity to address what I thought about the conference, give some information, so on and so forth. For those of you who perhaps weren't there or didn't catch the live stream, I just wanted to give you some highlights, some details, some information, and kind of overall go over what I thought about the conference. So yeah, this is an early show, Black Man, but that's because of two reasons. One, I know Yvette's going to probably be broadcasting tonight, so I want to give her an opportunity to do her thing. And second of all, I don't intend for this one to be, super long. I am going to open up the phones, of course, and let everybody call in and comment, but I don't intend to drag this one out. This is just more along the lines of me addressing some things that related to my pre-broadcast. Right. So remember the last broadcast I did was kind of like a lead up to the conference. So I wanted to do a broadcast after the conference was done to address what I thought about the broadcast, to provide some information, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I recognize this is early. And I probably won't get as many viewers as I normally do, but hey, everyone's appreciated. By the way, just a quick side note, make sure to click the links in the description field below. There's links to reports, information, so on and so forth to help you get up on your ADOS advocacy, right? This is super important in this day and time. Also, there are links there for supporting your brother's work if you decide to do that. Again, I do have a Patreon. I'm asking you to put $5 on it, but even $1 a month is good. Definitely appreciate it. So with all of that kind of out of the way, let me first start by saying that the conference was actually everything I expected it to be. And don't worry, I'll elaborate. Right? It was everything that I expected it would be. It was very inspirational. Um, I can't tell you, fam, how many good one-liners, good zingers came out of the conference. Sister Yvette hit one that was amazing. She told the story essentially of her mother, right, who was a domestic. She was a maid. And she tied, because Tone came first, Tone talked about his mother and how the failure that she inherited was reflected in his life. And he went really hard in the paint on the data. I mean, fam, Tone is solid when it comes to the information, right? But Tone did something that I normally don't expect from him, and it made his talk, his speech, everything. He brought the heat. He brought some emotional content to it. So it was definitely one of the best talks that Tone Talks has ever done. Like seriously, fam, it was everything. But Sister Yvette, after talking about how her mother's life and Tone's mother's life is tied together through failure, right? Through the inherited disenfranchisement and the stolen wealth and resources of both her mother and Tone's mother as ADOS. She talked about her mother having quit being a domestic. And what was really interesting is that when she inquired, her mother said, hey, your father made me quit, right? So when she went to go to her father and ask her pops about why he made her quit, there was a photo that she showed of her mother dressed in like her uniform serving a Thanksgiving turkey. He said it was that picture right there. He said it made no sense for my wife to be there cooking a Thanksgiving dinner while her family was at home hungry. And Yvette said, I want to leave you with this. She said, stop cooking a feast for others while your family's starving. One of the best kind of one-liners throughout the whole thing. Dr. Cornel West, of course, as you know, is very inspirational. Loved the brother a great deal. He talked quite a bit on the spiritual and moral ramifications behind our push for this justice claim. By the way, fam, I know this is a bit of a newer format. I try to simplify things a little bit, but the rules are still the same. If you're watching, please let me know you're watching, right? You come into the house, knock on the door, let me know you're here. You don't have to participate in the chat, but I do want to shout you out and show you some love and thank you for your eyeballs, your time, and your support. So Dr. Cornel West spoke on that piece. Of course, Tone hit us with the data like no other, but did it in a way that was so matter of fact, so personal. Just, it was amazing. There was also quite a few other speakers. Of course, Dr. Cosby spoke that talked about the need to support our institutions, right? That we shouldn't run. Oh, that was another thing I wanted to mention. Sister Yvette talked about the need for us as ADOS, rather than shaming or shading groups like the NAACP, the Urban League, and so on and so forth. Peace, $316. Glad to see you back in the building, fam. That it's Project Takeover time. Rather than us, outcasting and shading them, we need to be in the building. We need to be going and joining the local chapters of these groups and rebelling against the national leadership. So if Mark Morial, because they're getting money from Comcast, can't say anything about Comcast's attack on the Civil Rights Act of 1866 and so on and so forth, by us getting involved in local chapters of the Urban League and basically forcing national to adhere to our will, right? She called it Project Takeover, fam, and I have to say it was one of the best ideas that came out of the conference, was the idea of taking over these moribund, archaic, thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate you, sister. Welcome to the broadcast. These moribund, archaic institutions. Rather than us shading them and casting them aside, we need to be getting in there and taking them over, right? If they won't do the work, we get in there and we do the work, right? As ADOS advocates and proponents, right? So great idea that Yvette dropped. What else? Wow, there's so many highlights. There was quite a few allies that had an opportunity to speak. There was a Jamaican ally, a sister of Jamaican descent, Serena Harris, who is involved in finance, right? So she had an opportunity to come in and talk about how redlining still continues in the banking industry to prevent us from getting access to home loans. She also discussed gentrification, the processes behind gentrification, and so on and so forth. Joshua Poe, who some of you may also be familiar with, out in Louisville, was also there and got an opportunity to speak on gentrification and so on and so forth. B1 to you, Andre. Yes, we are definitely in the house, fam. It's good to see you. One of the great talks of the conference was one given by Paul Sowers. If you haven't checked out his work at paulsowers.com, I'll put his URL here in the chat. You need to go check out this man's work. Paul Sowers has written a lot about the need for America to honor our justice claim. And he gave a very powerful speech detailing the necessity to address ADOS even within the confines of the predominant white perspective of our fellow white citizens. I thought it was a very powerful talk. Easy B1 to you, fam. I see you. Welcome to the broadcast. So I'm going to give you guys 3 things. Chad, I see you, fam. Welcome to the broadcast. I want to give you guys 3 things that I took away from the conference that were positive. But I also give 3 critiques or 3 things that I thought could be different or could be better or just, you see what I'm saying? So I want to be measured with both what I liked about the conference, what I took away from it, what I thought was positive, and things that I thought could be different or could necessarily, not necessarily be positive, right? So to always accentuate the positive and to highlight the positive. Peace, Tanzania, by the way. Welcome to the broadcast, Tanzania. I hope you had a safe trip. I know you probably enjoyed to hell and back the conference. It was wild, fam. I can't tell you. So the first thing I'm going to tell you that was positive was seeing almost 3,000 ADOS people gathered at Simmons College, right, at St. Stephen's Church, to indicate that they were there in force, right? To see those faces there chanting ADOS, ADOS. Oh my God, fam. It was powerful. It was powerful. For all of the detractors, the naysayers, the people who told us that we were controlled by the Russians, that we were in the pay of the Russians, that we were bots, right? The conference in and of itself was a vindication. It was a big fuck you, pardon my language, fam, but a big fuck you to all of the haters, all of the detractors who said that we were just a social media thing, that we wouldn't be here 3 months, 6 months, a year, right? Fam, all those ADOS faces, just beautiful, fam. It was beautiful. The floor full, the balconies full, the overflow full, and that's not even counting all of us like myself who were live streaming. I watched the entirety of the entire ADOS conference. Friday was blocked off. That was all I did all day. I took breaks when they took breaks. I ate lunch. When they ate lunch, I basically was there, right? So that's not even counting all of the probably even thousands of more ADOS and allies who watched the conference via the live stream. It was an extremely powerful statement to show that we were not going to be sidelined, that we are real people with real concerns, real issues, fighting and pressing home a real justice claim, real advocacy. Fam, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So that was the first positive thing that I wanted to say. Shout out to all of you. Thank you, Tanzania. Tanzania said, many blessings to you and yours, brother in arms. Thank you, sister. I appreciate you, and I appreciate the love for the vets. Damn, fam. I'm certain that you guys are used to me being able to kind of describe things, and so I'm going to do my best. But fam, it's hard to, because the excitement there was palpable. The numbers were clear. The house was packed. Do you understand me? I mean, sure. Okay, let's keep it a buck, fam. You know, black folk, we was on CPT, right? I was up at like 5:30 in the morning because I'm West Coast, right? And the conference started at 9:30 East Coast time. So I was up at 5:30 in the morning to make sure that I was available to for the live stream, right? And the beginning, people had to kind of trickle in. Like, people got there, they flew in, they ate dinner the night before, they was maybe, traveling around Louisville. So the numbers didn't look like much right at the beginning. Like when they showed the bench, the views and everything, it was like, it's kind of empty up in that joint. You know what I'm saying? Brothers and sisters trickled in because, CPT. But, man, I'm telling you, not even an hour in, fam, it was packed. It was wall to wall folk, right? And I mean, we had, by the way, Ibrahim, I see you, fam. Welcome to the broadcast. Hey, Tablet, I see you, fam. Welcome to the broadcast. ADOS 2020 and Zipporah is in the house too. Starman, I see you. Welcome to the broadcast. Ibrahim said that's not it. Yeah, you got it. Run it down, fam. If I was wrong, I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? At the beginning, though, it looked like the crowd was a little light, and I thought that people was, trickling in, right? I wasn't sweating it because I knew that it was sold out, so I knew it was gonna be packed. I was shocked to see that at first. EHC Acts, man, I see you, fam. Yeah, the conference. I gotta tell you, it was lit. It was lit. Like, they started off with some singing. Oh, they had this brother there. Oh my God, that brother could blow. Like, he could wail. Like, my man could bobble. Seriously, he could get down. So, fam, when I tell you that your people showed up and showed out, I can't even stress it enough, right? And I expected that. I expected us to use the inaugural ADOS conference to highlight the fact that we are here, not we are coming, right? Because we've been saying we coming, right? Tone said we coming. We here. And nothing detailed that or showed that more clearly than the numbers of folk that was there participating at the ADOS conference, okay? The second thing that I took away, the very second positive thing that I took away from the conference was the idea that it is time for us to step up. And when I say step up, fam, what I mean is that ADOS is time for us to get out here and be fearless, to be bold, to be daring, to be unapologetic. It is our time, right? This is the movement, if you will. I don't like to use that term, but this is our moment for our generation, us Xers, older millennials, so on and so forth. This is our moment, right? This is not us having to relive the past, right? Relive the history of the civil rights. This is us in our time, at our moment, right? I think that all of the speakers made clear that we have to be the force we've been waiting for, right? We have to be bold. We have to speak truth to power always. We have to be willing to grasp the hand of other ADOS people and say, hey, it is you and I against everyone else, right? And every single one of our speakers there, I am kind of at a loss for words, fam, because inspirationally speaking, man, the conference was it. Like that inaugural conference, if you were needing a fire to be lit up under you, fam, that's it. I'm not kidding you. The conference was it. Purchase, if you can get an opportunity to purchase the live stream, purchase it. I think it's still up. You have to go to the website or whatever the case may be. And it's also found on Vimeo, right? A lot of people were confused. Like, you had to go through Kling, I believe, to watch the live stream. But once the live stream was completed, fam, the live stream was posted or hosted on Vimeo, right? So if for those of you who are looking for the live stream after the live stream was completed, it's on Vimeo, right? I'm certain that Yvette will probably mention it tonight during the broadcast, but I wanted to be proactive and let y'all know where you can find it, right? The ADOS conference is hosted on St. Stephen Baptist Church channel on Vimeo, right? Vimeo.com, right? So check that out. But yeah, fam, the energy was there. The power was there. It was you could feel it through the live stream. I mean, I'm sitting here clapping, shouting, preach, you know, smacking my desk like I'm slapping the pulpit. You know what I'm saying? I ain't been to church. I ain't been to church in years, right? But I was like, preach, right? I mean, it was on point, right? So the second thing that I found that I took away from was that every speaker there was letting us know that it is our time to step up, take up the mantle of our ancestors and fight the good fight. Yvette said something so clear. She said that we have had a problem as ADOS with identity, right? And every identity we've chosen other than ADOS is an identity of those who run, right? Those of us who take off, right? Let me shout out, by the way, Minutes Till Dawn. I see you, fam. Welcome to the broadcast. She said, but cleaving to ADOS, right? Go ahead, fam, post it. As a matter of fact, EHC, I thought I had made you. Let me go ahead and give you the capability to do that. Void Ninja Peace, fam. We do not have the luxury anymore of waiting for saviors, fam. You are the savior we've been waiting for. And I've said that over and over again. Part of my job as Mark Black is to make more Mark Blacks. In your particular area, in your particular venue, your particular field, right? Your job is to be the proponent, be the advocate that you've been waiting for. You feel me? Minister Dawn, make sure to do me a favor, fam. Make sure to pop a link to your channel in there. Go ahead and do that so we can check out the content. So, fam, the energy was there. The message was on point, right? And the last thing that I took away that was absolutely positive, was that we are thinking about strategy, right? There was a lot of inspiration at the conference, okay? And I'm keeping it real, right? A lot of inspiration. I can see the seeds of strategy, right? Antonio and Yvette mentioned the strategy of voting down ballot, Democrat down ballot, and so on and so forth. Serena mentioned strategies on fighting and combating gentrification, you know, going after the banks, demanding audits, so on and so forth, right? ADOS I can definitely see elements of strategy being developed at the conference, right? Thank you, Death Wish. I appreciate it, fam. And welcome to the broadcast. So we saw part of what I wanted to see in the broadcast, or I should say in the at the conference, right? I wanted to see us showing out and showing up, which we did, right? I wanted to see us talking about strategy moving forward. Now, I mentioned to you that I had 3 things that I wanted to talk about that I found completely positive, right? The inspiration and the message was on point. We showed up, we showed out, amazing, right? And I saw some seeds of strategy. Now, to be fair, the next 3 things that I'm going to mention, I have to give a disclaimer. There were other portions of the conference, like meetings of the people that were there, get-togethers that I wasn't privy to, because I wasn't there at the conference, right? ADOS reparations. So you see where I'm coming from, right? I'm going to mention what I know of. But if there's additional information, please feel free in chat to share that with the people, right? Because I'm certain that there were discussions happening behind the scenes that I just simply was not privy to. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I was going to mention that because I actually had someone reach out to me on Sunday after the conference was over, after everybody had left Louisville, was on their way home. And they asked me a simple question. They asked me, did you hear what you wanted to hear from the conference, right? They had watched my pre-conference broadcast, and they wanted to know if I had heard what I wanted to hear, if I saw what I wanted to see from the conference. And based off of what I was able to see, I'm going to have to say, in the main, no, right? Now, I appreciate those of you such as brother, ADOS Reparation, I believe his brother Chad there, that went to the conference and carried some of the messages that I was talking about, such as the enhanced radicalism, the idea of engaging or creating a super PAC and things like that. And, before you guys jump on your man, Mark Black, understand that I did what I got from the conference, or what I saw at the conference was what I expected, right? So I'm not disappointed. I will be at the ADOS conference next year in 2020. You can be assured of that. There is no doubt about it. I will be there. Okay. So knowing what I know now, would I have went to the ADOS conference this year had I had the means to do so? Absolutely. So none of what I'm about to say is in any way a slight towards our brothers and sisters, Yvette, Tone, or anything about the conference. But I was asked clearly if I saw or heard from the speakers there at the conference what I wanted to hear. And in the main, I did not. That's my first and primary critique, right? Here's the thing, fam. And I hope you guys understand this. I'm not gonna eggshell, but I'm also not gonna be disrespectful either. But I hope you understand, fam, when I say this to you, that all too often at gatherings of ADOS folk, we have what I call long on inspiration, short on information. Okay? Like, you look at people like Jay Morrison. Jay Morrison is able to do his little corner sessions and things like that, right? Because he uses a lot of emotionally charged language, right? He talks about struggle, trial, so on and so forth, and how utilizing his techniques, which he never gets around to really detailing in these corner sessions, right? Strangely enough, that you too could be a success and get the white man off your back, and so on and so forth. Agent Smith, by the way, Death Wish, I see you, fam. Welcome to the broadcast. So very often, unfortunately, it is an unfortunate trait. Whenever we have gatherings, we have to be careful of being over inspirational and under informational, right? So this was the thing that I was watching for in the conference. I expected inspiration. There's no way in hell you're going to gather ADOS people together and we're not going to get lit. Like, we're not going to turn up. That's never going to happen, right? More fool you if you think you can get more than 5 ADOS people in a room and we're not going to get turned up. That's never going to happen. So I expected us to be emotional, to be hypey, to be excited. And that was what we needed. We needed that. En masse, we needed that. However, I would have liked to have seen more information. And I'm not talking about just just the data that we all have been kind of looking at, the data relating to our net wealth in various locales, the problem and issue of homelessness, and so on and so forth in places like LA, in Texas, San Fran, so on and so forth, right? I was wanting to see more information around solutions. And I think that the conference, and necessarily there needed to be some inspiration, but I think that it was a bit more inspirational and not as informational as I, Mark Black, would have liked. I'm making it clear this is my personal opinion, my personal statement, all right? If you were able to get something from the live stream or from being there at the conference or from the behind the scenes discussions, which I know there were a ton of, okay? So again, I'm not saying that these discussions didn't happen. What I am saying, however, is that these discussions didn't happen in a way that would have allowed us to truly start to see the seeds of some major formations, right? Now, ADOS Reparation 2020 said, you are completely right, but we got many actionable items that are taking ADOS to the next stage. Wish you could have been there for the private conversation. I do too. And again, I expected that there would be behind the scenes stuff that was going on. As a matter of fact, Saturday, the whole part of the half day Saturday, I'm certain was different meetings going on, different gatherings going on, because the conference was 2 days, fam. A lot of us don't remember that. It was the 4th and the 5th, right? The 5th was not streamed to the public, right? So that means that the brothers and sisters that was there on the 5th got a chance to have sit downs, meetings, so on and so forth. I am only speaking to what Mark Black was privy to. And again, my vision is hindered by the fact that I wasn't on site. So I will take that as valid criticism, and I will accept that. I will say, however, that based off of what I saw during the conference, very, very inspirational, little short on the information, right? So there was that. Okay. By the way, greetings, DVM. I see you, fam. Welcome to the broadcast. So the second critique I have of the conference, and this one's a little hard for me to talk about, primarily because I don't quite understand the logic that drove this thing. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what the thing is, and I'm going to tell you what the logic is that's expressed behind it, and then I will tell you or share with you my critique. Antonio and Yvette came out and mentioned, thank you, Virginia. I appreciate you, fam. Let's see here. Appreciate your work, and I appreciate you. Thank you very much for the super chat. Yvette and Tone came out and they said that people have been inquiring about who it is that they are intending to support, if anyone, among the Democratic candidates or whatever for president. Now, mind you, Marianne Williamson showed up. She showed up and showed out. Okay, so shout out to Marianne Williamson for at least having the damn courage to come and face the people she's claiming she wants to serve as president. I have nothing but respect for that woman having had the courage to come out and do that. All right. So hats off to Marianne Williamson, the only one of the Democratic candidates who thought enough of our people to show up and actually speak to us about our issues specifically, right? But with that said, Yvette and Tone have been asked repeatedly who, if anyone, they intend to or are looking at supporting for the candidacy, of president in 2020. And Yvette and Tone, to make a long story short, indicated that at this particular point, due to the nature of our interaction with the Democrats, that they are going to vote Democratic down ballot. Okay? And they indicated that that's going to be the strategy moving forward. Now, why am I saying that that's a negative? First, let me share with you the logic behind it. The logic of this is that our fight primarily is the Democrats, because we, of course, have supported the Democrats wholeheartedly on the national level across the board. No president has gotten into office who is a Democrat without ADOS votes since 1976. No Democratic president has gotten the majority of white votes, right? And so with that in mind, our fight is primarily with the Democrats. We have given to them, and now that we are demanding something in return, we're getting pushback. And so the idea is that without full-throated, full-bore support on a national level for our justice claim and a black agenda, there's no sense in voting for a Democratic candidate for president, right? To show our pool, if I understand the logic correctly, okay? Now, so we are voting black. ADOS reparations said black agenda down ballot. No, actually, that was where I took umbrage, because that was not actually what was said. As Yvette was saying it, she was saying we're going to vote down ballot. And Tone immediately interjected Democrat down ballot, right? To make it clear that if you were going to follow the strategy that they intend to follow in 2020, you are going to be voting primarily on regional, local, and so on and so forth, but primarily Democrat. And I'll be honest with you, I don't understand the logic. Now, here's the thing. It makes perfect sense that we've given loyalty to the Democrats and we should demand something in return. One of the key messages from the conference, fam, was that politics is an exchange, not a gift, right? Our votes are supposed to bring something to us, right? In other words, you want our vote, we need something from you in return for our vote, right? Politics is an exchange, not a gift, right? So definitely the idea is there that we need to be treating our vote and our voting capabilities, right? The franchise, we need to be weaponizing it, right? And Antonio and Yvette have made that clear. So with that said, I don't understand then the continued reference to selecting Democrats even down ballot, right? Because here's the issue that I take with it, right? And I could very well be wrong. I am open at any point for critique on any of the points I've made, right? So correct me where I'm wrong. But now, if we have given our loyalty to the Democrats locally, right, in your city, regionally, state, all the way up to the federal level, and we have had jack shit to show for it, why would we continue to even give Democrats votes for dog catcher? I'm just saying, like, voting down ballot, but pressing D is really, in my opinion, no damn different than what we've been doing, except we're not doing it on the national level. And don't forget, fam, that these local individuals that we will be voting for, right? We press a right? Okay? All of these people that we are voting for down ballot have connections to the national apparatus, fam. Some of these people are members of the DNC or are connected with people in the DNC. So we may be voting for, say, a state representative who's a Democrat. Okay, cool. But the state representative will have connections on Capitol Hill. And they will be sitting there using now the office that you've given them, the power and influence that you've given them, moving that up the chain. So it's like, fam, it's like the Democrats on the bottom, right, on the local level and the city level, the state level, the regional level are the base of the pyramid. They are the ones that support the national effort, the national push. By us just going down ballot means that we're essentially keeping their infrastructure in place on the national level. So technically speaking, even though on the national level, right, they're not necessarily getting our votes, they still have the infrastructure, right? And again, ADOS Reparation 2020, I will admit to you that this is criticism from me saying that I was not there. I am telling you what I saw and what I did not see and what I've desired to see. And I do not agree in the main with the idea of voting down ballot for Democrats. As a matter of fact, fam, I'll be honest with you. Antonio and Yvette can do whatever they like. They are my brothers and sisters. I esteem them, I respect them, and I love them. I would almost had rather they not even addressed it, right? It's really no one's business how they intend to vote or whatever the case may be, right? Like, it didn't matter to me. I'll be truly honest with you. It does not matter to me if Antonio feels like he wants to support down ballot Democrats, okay? I don't agree with that strategy, but if that's what that brother wants to do, hats off to him. Like, it's all good, right? It's all good. But see, that ties into another issue that I had with the conference, right? And this is the last thing. And then I'll open up the lines. We can have a conversation because I want to hear from you, fam. I want us to talk about this. This isn't shade. This isn't shade show. I would not even be speaking on this if I didn't give a damn. I love my people. I love Brother Antonio and Sister Yvette. I love Dr. Cosby, and everybody who was there at the conference knows I have your back in for a penny, in for a pound, right? At the same token, though, as your brother and one who loves you, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up issues that I can see coming to the fore, right? And one of those issues is that Antonio and Yvette so publicly coming out and indicating that they would be voting down ballot, right? That's an issue. That's an issue because I don't think, first of all, that it was just their position. Because that brings me to the third point. Now, I'll admit to a bias here with my last point, right? I'm always upfront and transparent and honest with you, fam. Part of the reason why I have found it so easy, so pure and easy to embrace ADOS, not just as my identification. I claim the name, all right? That was the tagline of the conference, by the way. I love that. ADOS conference, claim the name. We are not African Americans. We not black people. We ADOS. We are the American descendants of slavery. Claim the name. I do. You should too, right? So one of the things, Miss Kawami P, sisters, good to see you. Jessica J, good to see you too, by the way. Virginia from Northern VA said thank you. Said your comments are well stated and deserve thoughtful consideration. Yes, and I appreciate that. Because I want us to have a conversation, a dialogue, fam. This is what family do. When we have issues, we don't cut each other off. We don't practice a cancel culture with family, with our tribes people. No, we air it out and we work it out, right? So any issue that I've taken or anything that I've taken umbrage to or whatever the case may be, I'm definitely open to having a meeting of the minds and getting on the same page. I'm just clarifying where I understand things are based off of the information I have available, right? So the third thing that I wanted to address, in my opinion, as a negative, I have to frame first. As I understand ADOS, So again, referring back to myself and my information and what I know, what data I'm grounded in. ADOS is our identification as a distinct and unique lineage, heritage in this country that possesses the most unique justice claim. We are living evidence of the greatest crime against humanity that the world has ever seen. And we bear a unique justice claim that we are pressing home directly, specifically with the federal government. We're not piecemealing the shit. We're not going from state to state, from business to business to business. No, our fight, if you will, right? This grievance that we need redress for is being directed where it belongs, at the United States of America, the federal government, okay? That is what I understand ADOS to be. Okay. Now, what gives us the authority, right? The capability to do the things that we talk about, right? To advocate, to be proponents for this justice claim, to stand up and support and fight for the interests of those of us who are the American descendants of slavery. Right? Shout out to my brother Leroy Green. And John, you're not late, fam. You're right on time. Kep, I see you. Welcome to the broadcast. What gives us the power, the authority, right? The right to do the things that we will need to do and ultimately will do in order to press home this justice claim? Because I think that's a question, fam, that bears an answer, that warrants an answer. Right? What is it? Who is it that we claim the authority to speak on behalf of? Right? Who is it that we claim the right to fight for, to advocate for, to work for? Now, I have mentioned that in my understanding, our ancestors, our enslaved and the descendants of those enslaved ancestors gives us all of the imprimatur, all of the permission, all of the authority that we need to press home this justice claim, full stop. Would you all agree? Press 1 in the chat. If you agree that our ancestors, right? The fact that our ancestors brought us here and we stand in the shoes, right? We bear by proxy the debt that was owed to our enslaved ancestors and their descendants, our forebears. Do you think that that is what gives us the right, the power, and the authority to press home this fight with Uncle Sam? Now, having said that, I appreciate y'all with the ones. I thought that you would agree with me, because to me, that makes absolute clear sense. Absolute sense. It is not hard to own up to that. That our ancestors, the very fact that we are the living evidence of the crime committed against our ancestors, is all we need. Right? By the way, shout out to Brother Vernell. Thank you so much for the love and support, fam. I appreciate you. So now, having said that, who is it that is in charge of the push to press home this justice claim? Who's running the show? This is a good question, fam. By the way, Sister Joan, I see you. Welcome to the broadcast. Now, the reason why I'm asking this question is because the answer to this question determines so many things that we don't even imagine, we don't even understand truly yet. Right? Because if we collectively, right, as a collective, as a tribe, are empowered to press home this justice claim, then all of the pieces fall into place. We have weapons. We have great minds, such as Dr. Darity, right? Dr. Darity has been a shining light, right? An amazing resource for us as a people to understand the truth of where we are as ADOS in this country based around the racial wealth gap and other key data points, right? But is Dr. Darity in charge? Is he running the show? Does he dictate the tempo, how this thing is supposed to move? I would argue, no, he does not. As a matter of fact, knowing what I know of Dr. Darity, he would say he does not. He would say, in that humble way that he has about himself, that he is simply a brother with an interest in justice who is willing to fight for his people. I know enough about Dr. Darity, having spoken with the man at length over social media. I wish I could meet him in person. The man is as humble as they come. He would never claim to be running a damn thing. Yvette and Tone have done us a great service, without a doubt. And they should be honored. They should be lifted up. They should be respected and esteemed for the work that they have done and continue to do on behalf of the American descendants of slavery, full stop. Full stop. They are beyond compare in so many ways. I love them. I esteem them. They're family to me. When I think of Yvette and Tone, just like I think of all of you who are ADOS, I see you all truly as family. We are relatives. We are tribes people. My fight is your fight. Your struggles are my struggles. Your joys are my joys. However, fam, are they in charge? Are they running the show? Because according to them, they are. And I respectfully have to take umbrage with that. I do not feel, me personally, and again, I admit to a bias. I admit to a bias of empowering as many people as I possibly can. I admit to that bias. I admit to it. I admit that I am biased toward distributing power, authority, the right to act on behalf of to as many ADOS as possible. So with that bias in place, I have to ask, who is it that can claim to be in charge of this thing? Let me share with you something, fam, that I've been thinking about. When I think about ADOS, the American Descendants of Slavery, the hashtag itself, and the fact that Yvette and Tone delivered that hashtag to us with the explanations behind it that only they could have provided, in my opinion, the way that they provided it. I think of them as parents giving birth to an idea that was needed. As Yvette said, our problem, and one of which we can fix, is that we have had a problem with identification, which is why the tagline of the conference was Claim the Name. Because once you identify as ADOS, you are no longer lost. You're no longer looking to Africa or looking to, Haile Selassie and Rastafari and so on, whatever floats your boat. But you're no longer looking to those things to provide you the identity that roots your humanity. As Yvette so poignantly said during the conference, she said, "I am no longer lost. I am found." My ADOS identity sustains me, fam, and it will sustain you if only you claim the name. If you stop casting about to try to get 23 and 3 or 23 and 3 tests to see, what tribe you may have came from in Africa and all this. If you stop trying to cast about for an identity and understand you already have a nationality, an identity, a heritage, and a lineage, and not only do you have one, but it's one to be fucking proud of, you are no longer lost. You are found. Our sister said it so powerfully and poignantly that our primary problem isn't white supremacy. We can take down white supremacy any damn time we wish. Our problem has been an issue of identity. Full stop. I cleave to my brethren and my sisterin, my tribes people. But more importantly, I cleave to our ancestors, our forebears who carried an entire nation on their backs and lifted it up to the highest echelons of power, turned this nation into a global hegemon. And I'm telling you that these colors don't run. We stood and fought before America was America. Gabriel Prosser, Denmark Vesey, Crispus Attucks, Nat Turner, Martin Delaney, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Ida B. Wells. We stand on the shoulders of giants. They are the ones who give us the strength, the power, and the right to claim this justice claim. Fam, we have all the leadership that we need. Does this mean that we should not esteem and respect those who do the work? Hell no. Lord knows I do. Hell, I practically kissed the ground that Yvette and Tone walk on. And that's real truth. I love the hell out of both of them. Both my brother and my sister. Respect them immensely. Immensely. Do you understand me? But they're not my leaders. Not in all things that are ADOS, not even in many things that are ADOS. They are inspirational to me. They have given me a lens, right? They have given me a lens to put on to help me go, oh, snap, right? Antonio and Yvette has given me a lens to be able to say, oh, so this is what's cracking with us as ADOS, huh? So this is what this data means, huh? And for that, I am eternally grateful for them. But for them to claim the mantle of leader of this moment does them as well as us a disservice, in my humble opinion. I don't think that that is what they meant to do. But I'm not talking about what your intentions are. I'm talking about what the actuality is. This is why I had a problem with their public pronouncement of voting down ballot. I think that for those of you who cannot resist as of yet your inclination to vote for Democrats, if I can get you to just vote down ballot and not nationally, that's fine. Yvette claimed to be the leader at the conference. Like, I listened to it. I heard it loud and clear. I am not saying that. Yvette said that. I'm simply reiterating what was said. She said, we are the leaders of this movement. Those are her words. You can feel free to go back and refer to the live stream, right? And again, I don't have any animus toward them at all. None. So this is not coming from a place of disrespect to them, of shade toward them. Not at all. By claiming the mantle of leadership with the amount of influence that they obviously have through the great work that they have done, right? It means, fam, that if they stumble, and they're human, they can. I can. I probably made 5 mistakes during this broadcast. And I have to always be accountable to you. Always. I don't get to hide from you. If I make a mistake during a broadcast, if I say the wrong thing, if I am off on a single point, I have to be accountable to you, because that's what it's all about. As your brother, I have to remain accountable to you. But as your leader, I am not accountable to you. If I simply dictate terms, it is what it is. And what am I doing right now? I'm stating my opinion, which you can feel free to disregard, to say Mark Black is tripping. I don't know what that nigga on. I won't be mad, Kep. You obviously don't agree with my last point, that they are claiming that. Now, again, I'm only speaking on what I know, but they have mentioned it before. They have said that they lead this movement. And I'm sorry, but they do not. This thing is they've given birth to it, but now it has a life of its own. They're not breathing for it. They're not pumping the blood through its veins. They gave it birth. And for that, we honor them as the parents of this thing. I know I do, and I'm saying it publicly that I honor them. But damn, fam, I do not have it in me. I do not have it in me to claim any mantle of leadership over this transformational moment. I do not have the guts. And you want to say I'm cowardly or whatever. I'm not saying you said that, Death Wish. I'm saying, though, if you want to call me a coward for not picking up the mantle of leader, feel free. I don't have the guts, because this thing is far bigger than anything Mark Black could say. Shout out to my sister Monty. I saw you at the conference. I've been waiting to see you, sister. Welcome to the broadcast. Kep, I do know what happens to leaders. And God forbid, I don't even believe in God, but God forbid anything negative or deleterious should happen to our esteemed brother and sister, Yvette and Tone. Again, this is never, ever coming from a place of rancor, of hatred, of any of that. The thing is, though, is that when leaders speak, Shalom, Sister August, Alan R., who's hijacking them? Who gives, other than people who are currently uninformed, which, by the way, is our responsibility as proponents and advocates for this justice claim and for claiming the mantle of this heritage, of this lineage. It is actually our responsibility to be dealing with T.I. and Candace and Jay Morrison and Moise Twatkins and Roly Poly Martin and all the rest of them. That's not really up for Yvette and Tone to be addressing. We can all address them, and we all have. These people can't go anywhere on social media without seeing us. We're in their faces 24/7. We all have been inspired by this child, this ideology that has been given birth to, and we all are doing the work. Some of us are doing more than others, some of us are doing less, but all of us who are cleaving to this ideology, cleaving to this lineage, claiming the name, right? We are all out here in our various lanes doing what it is that we do. But we have to be careful, fam, those of us who have some degree of influence. I want to impress upon you all this one thing. There is nothing Mark Black has said that you're not free to completely disregard, throw in the trash, and be like, what is this nigga on? I'm cool. I can't. Right? Please, if I've said anything that doesn't correspond with the data, that doesn't jive with what you understand to be true, I need you to use your noodle and act accordingly as my brother and sister. I need you to keep me accountable. I need you to check me when I'm wrong. I need you to square me up when I'm off my square. I not only need it, but I demand it of you, my fellow angry black sheep. We are a herd. We move together. Kep, you will never hear me make those correlations of leadership over anything that has to do with ADOS. I'm merely a mouth, and a relatively big one, who is honored to have the opportunity to be able to bring people both inspiration and information as regards our tribe. That was all, fam, that I really wanted to say. I found listen, I need to make it clear because some of y'all came in after the start of the broadcast, fam. If the conference was held again and I had the capability to go, knowing what I know now, having viewed the content, right, that the conference, what it was, what it is, would I go? You damned right I would go. It was our coming out party. It was our time to shine. We are no longer bots. We are no longer in hire and payment to the Russians. We're no longer disgruntled right-wing MAGA-ats, right? We are ADOS, and we're not coming. We are here. I would attend the conference today if it was held today and I had the means to go. None of my critique had anything to do with anything except what Brother Black, in my humble opinion, believed I needed to see for me. And for those who think that what I have to say have some degree of weight. So with that said, fam, I'm opening up the lines. If you want to call and talk to me about it, again, I'm open up. And again, none of this has anything to do with hate. I hope I've made it clear that I respect and esteem everybody who participated in the conference. Look, there's so many people that I respect that it's not even funny, that are in this thing, that are fighting on sides that you would not even expect. There are right-wingers who are ADOS actives who you never get to see because of our allergy to right-wing anything, right? You never get to see, who are fighting just as hard for us to press home this justice claim, who I have esteem for. Yeah, callers, what are your critiques? What did you take away from the conference, right? We want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Caller from 636. It's your man, Mark Black. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's on your mind?
How you doing, Mark Black? Agent Smith of the Matrix.
Agent Smith, brother, I am doing well. Thank you so much for your eyeballs and your time, fam. I'm glad to hear from you. What's on your mind?
Well, I was calling because, I feel a lot of what you're saying, and I've been a big supporter of ADOS. I mean, I bought tickets to the conference. I donated to Tone. I'm a Patreon of yours. I'm all in with the ideology.
Yes, sir.
And I have to agree. I have to agree with you wholeheartedly. I think the first thing I saw in leadership that had me questioning was the Byron Allen. I don't want to say endorsement, but I just felt like we had a lot of what Byron Allen doesn't have. He has capital, but he doesn't have political capital.
Yeah.
And we gave our political capital to Brother Tone and Sister Yvette for safekeeping, and it was to my understanding that capital would be spent towards getting our reparations. And it's like one day I turned on YouTube and the bank was open, and our political capital was being directed towards, Byron Allen and the situation with Comcast. Now, a lot of people may say, well, that's important. That's our claim as ADOS. Well, it's about timing, right? And Dr. Martin Luther King, when he went in for the bus boycott, he made sure that everything was right down to even the person with the grievance before he put our political capital on the line.
Right.
And even Yvette herself has said that he made a grave error by stretching his capital too thin. Now, my only second point that I'd like you to speak to, if you wish, that the same weekend, Friday, Donald Trump said some words that he basically repeated everything that the ADOS conference said in kind of a coded language.
Yeah,
right?
he did.
But we are not supposed to talk to him because he's a Republican.
I will definitely, and brother, I want to say now, did you get a chance to view the live stream, or were you there at the conference?
No, I purchased tickets for the conference, but I ended up having to live stream.
Same as me. Got you. Okay. What did you take away? What was your positive takeaways from the conference first?
Well, my positive takeaways were that you were able to sell out the conference, right? And that people actually spent their time and efforts getting there, and I believe they sold out the live stream. So it showed that there is a wave and actually wind building behind the sale.
Yes.
But most of the information was just to me, because I spend 10 to 14 hours a day, at work and listening to YouTube. It was more of the same information. I didn't learn anything new. I felt like we were slighted by the Democrats, slapped in the face. Of course, I anticipated that.
Yep.
I anticipated that. And I just don't understand the strategy of just down ballot voting blindly. I think we should put the fire to the locals to make them put the pressure on the national. Nobody gets in office until our grievances are met.
I'm with you on that one. Now, humbly, fam, I would like to submit that the down ballot strategy to me seems to be a bit flawed because, again, these down ballot candidates provide the support for the upstream, for the national apparatus, right? And so by bringing heat to where we can bring heat, when our local Democrats can't even get elected for dog catcher, for city council,
correct,
and so on and so forth, they are the ones who are going to then turn to the national apparatus and say, wait a minute, we're down here not even able to get into office. What the hell are you folk up there doing, right? And so on and so forth. So yeah, I absolutely agree with you, fam, that kind of threw me for a loop because I've often stated, as you well know, I do not see my advocacy of ADOS as a reform program for Democrats.
And that's what it seems to have become is basically, are we trying to reform the party? Because I don't believe that's going to happen. I'm interested in getting our reparations, getting what my grandfather and grandmother is deserved, and those before them. As far as reforming the Democratic Party, they can go to hell as far as I'm concerned.
I'm with
and
you,
if Donald Trump is willing to listen to me, Tony and Yvette should be visiting the White House. He basically, in a coded manner, invited them to the White House. If you ask me,
I would say
have
I
2 years
actually
in audio.
listened to it, fam. I would say it wasn't even all that coded, to be quite honest. And with your permission, when your call is done, I'm going to talk about it in a little bit more detail because Virginia is bringing up our brother T. West and Afro Synergy, who talked about the ADOS conference. He also talked about the meeting of young Black leadership at the White House too, as well. And he had some pretty interesting things to say on it. So, fam, I appreciate your 2 cents, man. As always, thank you so much for contributing to the broadcast, man. It's a pleasure. Always call in.
The pleasure's mine, Mark.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Peace, fam. Fam, we need to talk about that because I wasn't necessarily going to bring it up, but there was also a meeting held at the White House. Now, I know what a lot of folk are going to say because some of the attendees there at that Black Leadership Conference, and you're right, Tanzonia, she didn't say blindly vote down ballot. Now, I'll be honest with you. I would have loved a bit more explanation because Tone's outburst of Democrats, right, didn't really clarify much about the whole down ballot piece, right? And Yvette seemed to erode on that. So I was like, wait a minute, what? So again, I think there needs to be more clarity around that. I'm certain Yvette and Tone will get around to it. I was simply stating what I saw and what my reaction to what I saw was. But let me address what our brother T. West was talking about in his most recent broadcast. Donald Trump at this leadership conference that he had there, right? And yes, Death Wish, the majority of so-called Black folks there were people like Candace Owens, I'm certain Cruz Hughes was there and others, right? So these were primarily immigrants and so on and so forth. But the language that the president used was very interesting because he wasn't referring to immigrants. He said specifically, fam, he said that your people built the country, talking about ADOS. Yeah, Kep, don't worry, I'm going to go into that. I'm going to go into the Byron Allen piece, all right? Donald Trump said African Americans. Right now, we all know that African Americans means us, ADOS, right? Built this country. He said, and you are just now starting to get any credit for it. These were his words, not mine. This was the president of the United States. He said, you played such a huge hand in the creation of America, right? Now, was Trump 100% solid on it? No. But here's the thing. Trump said that completely unprompted. There was nobody there saying, oh, by the way, talk about how the niggers built the country. That wasn't how that went down, fam. That's not how that went down. Tanzonia, I would agree that Trump shelled out some truth to a gang of lies. Here's the rub, though, right? One of the things that we say as ADOS, right, is that we need to chew the meat and spit out the bone, right? In other words, truth is truth, no matter who the fuck is saying it, no matter where we find it, right? So with that in mind, I find it a little bit difficult to accept the premise that ADOS advocates and proponents can't have a sit down, at least with the president of the United States. He said in his address, he said, I mentioned during my campaign in 2016, he said, I went to a completely white state and detailed what I would like to work with my African American citizens to do. And I asked them to take a chance on me, right? What do they have to lose? regardless, fam, of what we think about Donald Trump's racism, regardless of whether or not we think he's disingenuous or not, in my humble opinion, as your brother and one who loves you, Donald Trump has said more about ADOS than even the Democrats will say. I'm just keeping it a buck. I have heard more references, positive references towards our contribution to this country. Don't forget, fam, on the 17th of August, Donald Trump spoke in Virginia, and he mentioned the contribution of our ancestors to the building of the United States of America. There, right there in the Virginia House, he called our ancestors sacred souls. When's the last time you heard even rhetoric like that from fucking Democrats? Now again, fam, don't get your panties in a bunch and start saying that I'm telling us to go and vote Republican or anything like that, right? Don't do Mark Black like that. I know how to say what I mean and mean what I say, all right? What I am saying, though, is why in the hell are conversations with right-wing brothers and sisters, because we do have ADOS proponents that are right-wing, that are conservative. Why are conversations with these people off the table? Why is it that we're supposed to avoid them like the plague, yet the Democrats can avoid us like the plague? Every single Democratic candidate for president was invited to the ADOS conference, and with the exception of one, every single one of them declined to appear. So they are refusing to have a conversation with us, and we are refusing to have a damn conversation with the Republicans. So I'm at a loss, right? Knowing what I know about politics, albeit I'm not a scholar, right? I'm just someone who's studious. But knowing what I know about politics, I'm at a loss with how we're supposed to press politically a position when the Democrats refuse to have a conversation with us and we refuse to have a conversation with the Republicans. Somebody explain this one to me. I'm not saying that you're wrong by saying, damn them Republicans, they're some racist bastards. Okay, fine. They're some racist bastards. All right. So make it make sense to me how it is that we're supposed to press our justice claim home politically when half of them are running from us and the other half we won't talk to. So you got two wings of the white supremacist bird. We know they're both racist. We know this. We know this, right? You say the Republicans are racist. Yes, they are. The Democrats are racist. Yes, they are. This isn't news. So two wings of the white supremacist bird. One wing is flapping as far away from us as it possibly can, trying to avoid us like the plague. And the other wing, we refuse to even acknowledge the existence of the other wing. How are we supposed to get at the bird? Fam, I'm trying to eat some turkey. Okay, I'm trying to eat me some reparations, some remediation, restoration, and repair for the American descendants of slavery. Full stop. So we got one wing that's flapping up in the sky, and we got another wing we refuse to even acknowledge is there. How are we going to get some turkey? I'll wait. That's all I'm saying, fam. I want us to think, fam. I want us to think and think clearly about our strategy moving forward. Calling from 714, it's your man Mark Black. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's on your mind?
Hello, Mark.
Yes, sir.
Mark Black, how are you? This is EHZX.
Hey, EACX, how you doing, brother? It's good to hear from you. I'm glad to hear you enjoyed the conference, fam. Talk to us.
Yes, I did. Just let me turn this down here so I can no feedback. Yeah. Good afternoon, good evening, family.
Good afternoon, brother.
Right. I just want to chime in my my little opinion here on what I think about why perhaps we're not going to approach the Republicans. It was mentioned in another YouTuber I follow. Kind of agree with this person, but they suggested that perhaps the leadership, or quote unquote whoever we have as leaders,
Mm-hmm.
are a little skittish to approach the Republicans at this time. Reason being, we as ADOS, we have to navigate a very tight path, very tight rope, because we're getting hit from all angles. And what do I mean by that? Basically, we've been called bots,
Mm-hmm.
by certain people in the media, the mainstream media. The movement has been, it hasn't even been declared a movement, if we can call it. It's movement is non-existent pretty much by a lot of people. We're only on the internet, which we debunked this past weekend.
Yes, sir.
By the great number of people that showed up. Actually boots on the ground and everything we've been doing. So that's totally debunked.
Mm-hmm.
We've been, attacked by the Back to Africa, Pan-Africanist, pro-black, whatever group you want to name, all of those people. We've been accused of being, funded by the Republicans or right-wing neo-Nazis. All kind of bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
No, speak your piece, fam.
So, well, what I'm saying basically is that the ADOS has to walk a very tight rope. So, I actually think, we should approach the Republicans. I think we should set the agenda ourselves. Don't let people tell us what to do. We do it ourselves.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
But I'm just thinking that perhaps our leadership is a little skittish how our detractors are going to look at that if we go to the Republicans. And then they're going to have all the fire to say, see, I told you so, I told you so.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's my little bit.
Oh, fam, before you go, I know you were at the conference. Do me a favor for the family. Share, what you took away positive from the conference and what would you have liked to see different at the conference, right? So share your experience real quick before you split.
Absolutely, Mark. Sure. There was some back of the kitchen, if I can call it that, negotiating. I don't know what exactly, but I've seen a few things online,
mm-hmm.
and I've talked to some people just through the process of networking. There's a lot of networking there.
Yes.
So that's very positive because we need that. And again, I purchased the as well as tickets myself to the event, and also the live stream, and I've been sharing it with lots of people. And lots of allies, non-ADOS people.
Yes.
So those are the positives that I took away from it. I've made some new family members. Met some new people.
Mm-hmm.
The one negative thing, and I don't, I can't say it's a total negative, but I was disappointed that Dr. Sandy Derry wasn't there.
I hear you.
I mean, he's part of the backbone of this.
Yeah.
He's coming with a lot of information, a lot of knowledge. I don't know what particular reason he wasn't there. I don't know, but I was just disappointed in that. And I hope in further conferences down the road that he will make his presence known because he is much needed within this movement and he needs to be heard.
I agree. I absolutely
So
agree.
that was the only thing I took away that was negative. Outside of that, it was a win-win for us, I think.
Thank you, thank you. Hey, I appreciate you
Yeah.
sharing your insights, your experience on the conference. Again, I thought the conference was a blessing. If it was held tomorrow and I could go, I would go. So I hope you, as well as others on the stream, understand that my critiques have nothing to do with what I thought about the conference in general, because I think it was
No,
definitely necessary
no,
and
Mark.
definitely a positive thing in the main.
Exactly. And look, we're discussing, these are family issues, man.
Mhm.
And nobody needs to get heated, or perturbed or anything, man. These are family issues that we're discussing. Nobody's going to leave this table without a piece of chicken.
Exactly. Exactly. We gonna all eat, fam. That's a
We're going to all
fact.
eat.
We gonna all
Yeah.
eat.
So, no, go ahead, bring it up, man.
I
We
appreciate
need to
that, fam.
talk and air it out.
Yeah, definitely, and I appreciate your support in that endeavor. Because again, I think that wherever we can push each other to fly, we should be the wind under each other's wings. And sometimes that involves critique, right? Sometimes that involves illuminating something that maybe had not been discussed in more detail, or so on and so forth, right? So yeah, absolutely, brother. I appreciate your feedback, your input. And don't be a stranger. You're always welcome to call in.
Thank you, brother Mark.
Of
Appreciate
course,
you
yes,
too.
sir. Love you, man. Peace. So there's a couple of things that before the next call comes in that I wanted to address. Someone asked me to talk about. Let me scroll back up here through the chat and talk about the Byron Allen piece. And then I'm also going to talk about the idea of the skittishness, or whatever the case may be. By the way, salute and love, peace, shalom, namaste, shalom, salamu alaikum to all of you who have arrived. It is my pleasure and my honor to have your time and your eyeballs today. All right. So the Byron Allen piece, the brother mentioned that he was at best surprised and at worst a little disappointed to see political capital be expended upon this issue that Byron Allen has taken up with Comcast. Now, having said that, let's clarify what actually Brother Tone was talking about when he mentioned this issue that is before the Supreme Court with Byron Allen and Comcast. Specifically, what Comcast is looking to do, and what the Supreme Court is actually looking only to address, which I find already immediately suspect, because this was the same strategy that the Supreme Court used when they addressed the affirmative action piece and the Voting Rights Act, was they only looked at a specific piece of the legislation that ultimately ended up gutting it, right? What they're looking at is Comcast's assertion that the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which section, I think it was 1903 or whatever, I believe it is, which addresses our right to contract and have our contractual rights protected by the United States government. Because remember, fam, as our ancestors were chattel property until the Civil Rights Act of 1866, there was no law that covered protection for their right to contract, right? For their right to be able to contract for various things, whether it was employment, resources, etc., right? The Civil Rights Act of 1866, that particular clause states that our right to contract, right, for the acquisition of resources, positions, so on and so forth, is sacrosanct and is protected as a right by the government. Comcast is wanting to, they're making their arguments based off of that, that should not obtain in this case. In other words, that should not be a factor for deciding whether or not the validity of Byron Allen's case should go forward as an actual civil suit in court. So the Supreme Court is deciding to address only that. Now, why is that important, fam? Well, it's very simple. As Byron Allen stated, our right to contract as citizens is one of the most important rights that we have, right? Our ability to be able to be protected from defrauding, from bad contracts like such as the ones our brothers and sisters had to sign in Chicago under the contract for deed and so on and so forth, right? The idea that race can be a factor in bad contracts and that race needs to be accounted for as a factor, right? Thank you, USC 1981, right? That we have the right to assert that race is a motivating factor in the denial of contracts with us and thus should be able to be adjudicated in court is huge. So, whereas a lot of you may think that, hey, you know, Byron Allen's a billionaire. What the hell do I care if he can get access to more channels this, more channels that? Fine, I get that, right? I, in the main, don't support billionaires and so on and so forth, right? But that's not what they're doing with this hearing in front of the Supreme Court. As Taj said, they're looking to try to remove racial discrimination as so basically what they're trying to say is that Comcast is wanting to argue that unless we can establish that we are solely being denied contractual agreements based on race, that any argument that we are being denied contracts should be wiped away as a matter of course. In other words, what Byron Allen referred to as the if-and clause, basically, or the if-and standard, or if-or standard, right? So what they're trying to do is change the standard. As it stands now, when you take a case, a contractual case to court, under the Civil Rights Act of 1866, you don't have to prove that race is the only factor. Thank you, or. You only have to prove that it is a factor, right? The but-for, thank you. Sorry, fam, I should know this, and I completely spaced it. Thank you, but-for, right? They're trying to change this so that we have to basically have an impossible standard. We have to be able to prove beyond any reasonable doubt, beyond any doubt, that the motivating factor, the primary sole motivating factor was racial animus. And if we can't do that, then we lose our cases before they even start. And so do I think that Byron Allen is getting support on the cheap? That could be a possibility. That could be a possibility. Do I think, however, though, that this does not have ramifications for us moving forward? Yeah, it does. So I would argue that in spite of whatever peripheral benefit Byron Allen may get from our advocacy against this issue, it's not about Byron Allen, right? Like Yvette said during the broadcast, that nigga Byron Allen, he married to a white bitch. Okay, but what about your civil rights though? Right? Like we have to maintain our focus. This ain't about Byron Allen, and truthfully, it never really has been. It doesn't matter if Byron Allen is pulling an OJ and running back to his people or whatever the case may be, now that he needs us. Okay, fine. We can call him out on that later. But what about your civil rights, though? Your ability to be able to establish clearly racial animus as not the factor, but simply a motivating factor is huge. Can you imagine, fam, a time after a Supreme Court that essentially guts the Civil Rights Act of 1866 when you are at your job or you are doing something and all of a sudden you're fired, you're terminated, your contract is up, and so on and so forth. And you know that is because of your heritage and your lineage, but you can't establish that as the sole reason. Try taking that to a lawyer and see if they'll even take the case, let alone try to argue the case. This thing is huge. It is absolutely huge that we get behind this, that we make sure that we put pressure on those who can submit amicus briefs, right? Friends of the court briefs to the Supreme Court, arguing for the upholding of our right to establish racial animus as a factor in denying us access to resources and contractual agreements. Fam, I'm sorry, but it ain't about Byron Allen. Whatever you think about Byron Allen doesn't matter. It's not about him. Not at this point. Not at this point. This is about us. This is about us and our right to be able to adjudicate cases in court and hold these bastards accountable when we know that racial animus was a motivating factor in what they've done to us, but it was not the sole factor. We don't have to establish that it was the sole factor. We only need to establish that it was a factor, that it was a motivating factor in our case, and we win. This is why we need to fight. I don't have any personal animus or personal love other than he's my tribesman for Byron Allen. This ain't about Byron Allen for me. This is about you and me. This is about you being able to go to work and not have to worry about your job getting tossed up. And we know that we know that it had racial animus to do with it, but you can't establish that because now they've made the standard impossible for you to meet. This is absolute bullshit. And the Supreme Court needs to be called on the proverbial carpet for even trying it. You feel me? And yeah, we know Trump's DOJ is trying to argue for it. But you know what? Here's the thing. I figured out something about Trump. Trump just don't like to hold no L's. A lot of the animus we think that Trump has towards ADOS folk specifically, I don't really think it's so much that. Do I think he like black folk? Do I think he like ADOS folk? No, not necessarily. But he would be no different than any other American in that particular respect. No, I think Trump just doesn't like to hold an L. Trump doesn't ever want to be seen as the one who holds the L, who takes a loss. He would send his DOJ to argue a case that cats should be referred to as felines, just so he don't have to hold the L. Just so he don't have to say under his watch that there was a Supreme Court case that, his DOJ argued and lost. Right? He's going to argue every case. Fam, again, we need to look beyond our feelings. We need to look, if it's about racism, fam, if racism is the sole arbiter around who it is we interact with in America and who we don't, ADOS would only be able to interact with ADOS because everybody in America is racist. Everybody in America has a vested interest in keeping ADOS on the bottom, standing on our chests as they rise up for the goodies. That's everybody, every ethnicity, every ethnic group, every social group, LGBTQIA, all of them, humpbacks, midgets, it don't fucking matter. If they're not ADOS, everybody in America has a vested interest in keeping us on the bottom. So that can't be the arbiter of who we engage with and who we don't engage with. MLK went in there and engaged with LBJ, and LBJ was clearly racist. LBJ would drop an M-bomb at the drop of a hat. MLK didn't give a damn. MLK said, I don't give a fuck if he calls me a nigga 3 times before lunch. If I can get this man to push forward what I need to push forward, damn it, I want to talk to him. Looks like I got a call coming in, but I don't see the... Oh, here we go. Caller from 346. It's your man Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
Hey, this is Antoine. I'm calling from Texas. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing well, fam. It's good to hear from you, Antoine. What's on your mind, brother?
Man, I wanted to call in and talk about Trump because it was like I've been doing my research into it. Did you know? Because I didn't know, but did you know that Trump actually offered us a new deal back in 2016?
Oh, yeah. I actually watched the speech and have referred people to the speech multiple times. Trump gave an hour-long speech where he detailed what essentially constituted an ADOS Marshall Plan, and he did it in front of a white-ass audience.
Yeah, but he didn't just give a speech. He actually wrote a document.
Now that I didn't know, fam. I would like to see that document. Are you in the chat right now, fam?
Yeah.
Go ahead and type something. Type, "This is me." I'll make you a mod temporarily, and I want you to put a link to the document if you can get access to it. But go ahead and continue your point, fam.
All right. Well, my thing is, if he gonna offer us a new deal, he's already reached out to us, offering us tangibles, and this is what we've been asking about asking the Democrats. I don't understand. Now I read the deal. It's not something that I think we should accept. But again, that deal was 3 years ago. But to me, to offer a deal, that means you opened up the conversation for.
Thank you.
That means you opened up the conversation for negotiation.
Thank you.
And that's not something that the Democrats have done at all. And I don't see no issue with going to talk to a sitting president. Why are we rallying behind Marianne Williamson when she really has no chance of winning? Like, we kind of wasting our time with her. I mean, I thank her for bringing the reparations conversation to the debate stage, but I mean, at this point, her job is done. Like, yeah. I don't think we can really do much more with her.
I mean, look, she keeps harping on the same number and talking about what's politically feasible. She doesn't understand yet, but the Democrats will. They don't get to dictate to us as ADOS what is politically feasible. We dictate as ADOS what they will advocate as politicians. And they keep thinking that they can come and tell us what our agenda is rather than it being the other way around. And we tell them what our agenda is. See, fam, this is what I've been stressing for the longest time. We have things that we control. We control and dictate the terms. Look, I've read a lot of business documents and stuff like that, and I'm going to tell you something. One thing I learned a long time ago in business, your price, my terms, right? My price, your terms, right? So if I want to get the price I want, I got to bend on the terms for you. But if you want the price you want, then you got to bend on the terms for me, or we can't deal. You feel me? But the thing is that we, as the initiators, the holders, the bearers of this justice claim, they don't get to tell us what justice looks like to us. They don't get to tell us what remediation, restoration, and repair looks like to us. Marianne Williamson doesn't get to tell us it looks like $500 billion given over 20 years. No. We tell you what it looks like, and then you tell us how you can make that happen. And if you're not the person, I don't want to say that guy, I don't want to be sexist, right? But if she's not that person, then move the hell out the way and let us talk to the person that is.
Exactly. And that's how I just feel about that. I think we should just leave it open. Now, as far as the conference, what you saying about the leadership thing, I didn't hear Yvette call herself a leader. But I agree about as far as, like, we shouldn't have no leader. Not only agree that we shouldn't have a leader, because I just think it'll put a target on their backs.
Facts.
And then if we looking at them as leaders, what happens when something happens to them? We've seen what happened with the civil rights movement when MLK and Malcolm X and everybody else just started dropping off. It went away.
Exactly.
So yeah, so we should go. The data is the leader. The truth is the leader. The reparations is the leader. The agenda is the leader. Like, we can't be doing all that.
But I hear you. Our ancestors provide me with all the right that I need to push home this justice claim.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's why claiming the name is so important, fam. That's why the most important thing that came from the ADOS conference on Friday and Saturday was the fact that we need to stand up and claim our heritage, claim our lineage. Stop casting about for something that don't fit. We need to root ourselves right so that we have the foundation needed to press home this justice claim. That was the smartest damn thing. I'm not African. I'm not people of color. Like Yvette said, we're not Crayola. We are the American descendants of slavery, and we will have our due.
Exactly. And that's all we gotta do is think. But that's really all I wanted. Well, I guess just to touch on that Byron Allen thing right quick. That did turn me off for a minute. I'm not gonna lie. Like it was like, why are you pushing for Byron? But then it makes sense when everybody keep explaining it, like you just explained it right now, that we should not be worried about what Byron Allen getting, but it's something that's for all of us.
Yeah.
Fight that law in court. If it did happen to us, so can he give a little money?
You are asking some serious, real, true talk questions. And I'm going to tell you straight up, part of what I wanted to see happen at the conference that I did not see, that I think is so damned important, is we need to initiate an ADOS super PAC. We have to have it. We have to have a political action force that can be able to fund ad buys, that can be able to get in front of candidates and throw checks down. Look, America has the government money can buy, right? Money talking, bullshit run the marathon. Freedom ain't gonna be free for us, and we know this already. You feel me? So at the end of the day, if we're not stepping up now at this particular point, right? Because we've got our politics 101 and 102 and so on and so forth, right? We understand what's been done to us politically, what some of the historical injustices and the oppressions have been. We understand a lot more now with Yvette and Tone's advocacy than we ever did. But until we take that next step, until we're able to go before any politician, regardless of D or R, until we're able to go and take those politicians some damn memes and be like, look, this is what our agenda is. You're a sitting incumbent right now. You have somebody who's running against you. We have no problem throwing X number of $1 million their way to ensure that they take your spot. Now, what do you want to talk about today? Until we're able to do that, fam, I'm not certain where the hell we're going to get. That's just, and Byron Allen could definitely either create a super PAC, of ADOS super PAC, or chip in a substantial sum towards an ADOS super PAC, or whatever the case may be. So here's the thing. Again, we have to understand it ain't about Byron Allen. We can't idolize the man. We can't be like, oh yeah, we fighting for brother Byron Allen. To be honest, whether he wins his case with Comcast or not is really immaterial to me. But this law is important, right? And so we need to make sure that we stay single-minded and focused. Remember, fam, I always talk about we are single issue advocates. And what is that single issue? The remediation, the restoration, and the repair of the American descendants of slavery, full stop. If it does that, we back it. If it don't, we chuck it. And it don't matter who brings it to us. It could be the whitest of white supremacists who is alabaster white. It could be the darkest of charcoal brothers and sisters. If it's about a policy that is going to benefit and provide those three things for the American descendants of slavery, then we all on board. If not, there it is.
So your super PAC, because like that to me that was a great idea when you mentioned it last week. Is that tax deductible? Because if it's tax deductible, like instead of paying our money to the government, we could be just investing into our own. I know we can only write off like 30 to 60% of donations, but can we make that tax deductible so we're, instead of giving our money to the government, we're gonna turn around and give it to immigrants?
Here's the thing. As far now, I'll be honest, okay? I need to do more research, right? And so I'm not going to claim to be an authority on this. But what I will say is this: as far as I know, donations to a political action committee or contributions to a political action committee are not tax deductible. But here's the thing: what they allow for is collective political action. Okay, I'll give you an example. You remember in California, Proposition 8?
The
That was
I remember the name, but I don't remember what happened.
so Prop 8 was basically a proposition that was on the ballot in California that was about providing, rights to LGBTQIA people, right? And so on and so forth. Do you know who had an outside influence or outsized influence on that proposition? The Church of Jesus
No.
Christ of Latter-day Saints. And you know how they did it? They did it through funding super PACs. These PACs would go into California during Prop 8, and they would go in and they would do ad buys talking about the breakdown in family values and all this other stuff, right? So that at the end of the day, Proposition 8 failed. Right? Political donations are not tax deductible, but that's not what we would use a PAC as a vehicle for, as like personal tax deductions. What a PAC does is allow you to compound the effect of little donations into big donations, right? A PAC, okay, I'll give you an example. I don't know if you've ever watched them or followed them, but are you familiar with the Young Turks?
Yes,
The
but
Young Turks, TYT,
yes.
like Uyghur and what's her name? Anna Kasparian.
Yes.
Okay. They created a pack called Wolf Pack, right? And they were instrumental in AOC, in Ayanna Presley, in Ilhan Umar, and a few other ones getting elected under the so-called Justice Democrat banner. And how did they do it? They simply funded their campaigns. They funded ad buys in their place. You feel me? The TYT viewers and all of that contributed so that they could get these candidates that they vetted, right, who came and bent the knee before them to advocate for their interests, and those people now sit in Congress. We have all these ADOS media platforms, brothers and sisters who are spoken, who are erudite. Yes, Tanzonia, I'm familiar with the Black American DOS caucus, and I would like to learn more about them, right? But here's the thing. One thing I know for a fact is this. The next step for us as ADOS in our political evolution is wielding political power. We've demonstrated that we have a disproportionate amount of political power relative to our numbers. We knocked off, and when I say we knocked off, fam, we knocked off people's entire presidential hopes. We did that. So
True.
we clearly have established, fam, that we have a form of political power. But now here's the rub. Where do we go from here? Right? Now we have some of us who are a little bit more, I don't want to say cowardly, because that's not even what I'm thinking. I'm thinking reticent or hesitant, right? And so to speak. But who are a little bit more hesitant to approach other political groups, other political parties, or to act in ways that are considered like not normal ADOS political action ways, like not protesting or not petitioning and so on and so forth. But there is a growing number of us ADOS proponents and advocates who are starting to see that it is time for us to take some of the great ideas from our forebears, such as Claude Anderson and his Powernomics and buying politicians and things like that, and starting to put some of those things into use because we see the efficacy of those things. Everybody is doing it. Wouldn't you agree, fam? Everybody has a particular, political group that they're supporting financially that is able to go and advocate for their interests.
Because the money make them move.
Exactly. They're allowing their money to make moves, right? So my thing is this, and I'll let you go with this, but at the end of the day, we have to understand that it's time to take our political action to the next level. And the only way we do that is by generating some degree of resources. It doesn't have to be a lot, fam. I can guarantee you, you walk into any senator's office, white, black, Republican, Democrat, green, don't matter. You walk into any senator's office with a check for $5 million, you immediately have their attention. Immediately. And anything you want to talk about, anything you feel needs to be on the agenda, they're going to find a way to put it on the agenda. What did Yvette said is Project Takeover. But I would also talk about, like D. Will said, Project Take Back. This is our government, but we got to take it back. We got to go in there and we got to take it back from them.
Agreed.
Fam, I'm gonna leave you with the last word, man. Did you get a chance to go to the conference, or did you view the conference live stream?
I viewed the live stream. I loved it. I couldn't see as much. I was at work, so they pulled me into a meeting and made me miss 2 hours of it. But I went back and watched the Cardinals, and man, I liked it. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad that I seen all the pictures on Twitter. Like, I wish I was there.
Yeah, me too, fam. Me too. It was hype.
Yeah, for real. It was beautiful to watch. But I wish, and maybe they just didn't say it on camera, because I wouldn't have said it on camera. But I wish they kind of, just put a more action plan into place. To what we're going to do. And maybe they did discuss that behind the scenes.
Yeah.
There was a lot of them there.
There's a lot of people who said that they discussed it behind the scenes, and I would love to know more about those discussions that we who were not there at the conference weren't necessarily privy to. Because unbeknownst to Sister Yvette, the people at the conference weren't the only tip of the spear. There was a bunch of us at home who were tips, a part of that tip, who was there. Johnny on the spot in support. You know what I'm saying? So I would love to see more about some of, thank you, oh boy, Peach. Yeah, I would love to see more about that too, fam. Hey, thank you for your contribution to the broadcast today, man. You are always welcome. Make sure you continue to reach out to us. Don't be a stranger, all right, fam?
I always, Amy. I appreciate you, Mark, for everything you're doing.
Oh, my pleasure, fam. It's my honor and my pleasure.
And you're teaching us, so appreciate it. Have a good one.
I will, brother, and you do the same. Peace. Yes, fam. Yeah, I would love to see some updates. Again, if you brothers and sisters were doing work behind the scenes, your brothers and sisters who are a part of the tip of the spear at the house, we needs that. We needs that, because we needs to know what's the game plan. We want to be on board too. We want to put in some work too, right? We want to eat. Right? If we got to go up against white supremacy, we want to feast on them too, just like y'all do. You know what I'm saying? So I addressed the Byron Allen piece. Now, there was some talk in the chat about the hesitancy of some of our leadership. You know what? I'm going to have to address it after this call. Y'all come first. Caller from 317, it's your man, Mark Black. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, fam? This is Ibrahim Tanner from Indianapolis.
Brother Ibrahim, salam, man. How are you?
I'm fine. Okay, so I got down to the conference. I think I got there Thursday night. We stayed on the east side. So we initially had tickets for the overflow section. I think Yvette and Tone thought the most tickets sold was in the no. I was in the overflow section. I know they put up like 150 general ticket seats, and so there was a lot of people in the overflow section that showed up.
Yes.
And I want to say more showed up for the overflow than that showed up for the general section.
I would agree. So, as a matter of fact, when I saw the overflow, it was packed. Like, I was like, damn. Yeah. I was like, ADOS is right indeed.
So at first, we were in separate locations. I think the overflow section was like in the back in the gym.
Yeah.
So that's why it took so long for the general section to get filled up, because
Oh, okay,
then they
fam.
let us
Yeah,
go into the general section.
now I
and
ain't
go
gonna lie,
in. Yeah.
Ibrahim. I know us, right? I'm ADOS. I know us. We be on CPT. I thought people was trickling in. You know what I'm saying? And it was all good to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, oh, my people gonna show up. You know what I mean? I wasn't even sweating it. I just noticed that, like right at the beginning. You know, I was like, damn, where is everybody? You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad you clarified on that, brother. I appreciate that. Tell me, what was your impression of the conference? Give us your impression of positives, negatives. Tell us your experience of the conference, brother.
It was extremely positive. It was extremely positive. My thing was that so for like 3 years, Yvette and Tone has been laying down the blueprint, doing the work.
Yes.
And I think the conference was more motivation. Okay, y'all got the blueprint from us. Now it's time for y'all to do more work, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people like Mark Stevenson of Columbus, Ohio. You got Chris of Sacramento, right? That does like so much work in the community.
Absolutely.
That, you know, and you said like there was so much that was happening off camera. But I think that's how our group rolls, right? There's so much that's happening off camera. And there's just a lot of work being done, and that's kind of how the conference was, like fellowship, but hearts and orders also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
like
Ibrahim, I hope you understood where I was coming from, brother Ibrahim. When I wasn't critiquing that, you know, the live stream was all that I had to go on, right? I wasn't there, right? That's on me, not on nobody else. That's on me. So I had imagined that there was probably because I was on Twitter too. If I don't know if you follow me on Twitter, right?
Yes.
You saw me posting on Twitter, I'm certain, different quotes from the talks, right? Retweeting people's photos and videos and things like that, and so on and so forth, right? So I was definitely there, all day long, right? To share the information, to share the motivation, the inspiration, and so on and so forth. But all we got to see was what was presented, live via the live stream. So I know, and I'll put it like this. I am going to reserve, first of all, any judgment, you know what I'm saying? Because at this particular point, none of this is about judgment. This is simply, my expression of what I've been able to see and experience and so on and so forth. So there's that part. And I expect to see a little bit more clarification. I want to see some more fleshing out of some of the stuff that did happen behind the scenes. Whoever's calling in from 323, I can only take one call at a time. I'm not ignoring you, but I can only take one call at a time. Right. I definitely want to hear more about Project Takeover too. Brother Ibrahim, what do you think about that idea of us taking over the branches of the various moribund Black organizations and literally revolting, if you will, or rebelling against, damn it, I don't want to block you, whoever it is that's calling, but stop doing it, or else I'm gonna have to block you, for a minute. I can only take one call at a time. But tell me, Brother Ibrahim, what do you think about Project Takeover?
So initially, I kind of thought that's where Yvette was going, right? Like, there's nothing I went to the conference from and like, oh, this is new. Like, they was pretty much giving little hints and stuff leading up to that. So when she said I was prepared for it, you know what? Sometime this week I'm going to go and join the NAACP, but they vet just like we vet, right?
Yes.
So, like, this is more of a long-term game, I thought, right?
I agree.
Because they're tied into white money from white institutions, and they pretty much do what they tell them to do. So I see this more as a long-term, as something that's going to happen not so much immediately, but further in the future.
Agreed.
What stuck with me the most is that you go back into your community and you build your ADOS groups, and that's what's going to further this push. We were like,
Yes.
well, there was some, okay, so, there's, like she said, the tip of the spear, there's a lot that do work in the community, but I think this motivated so many more people to say, 'cause that's all I heard. People were like, I was afraid to share the stuff on Facebook, and I really don't talk to my family members about it, but I'm knee deep in it. And they're like, now I'm empowered, I'm emboldened. So
Yes.
it woke a lot of ADOS folk up that know the knowledge, but that was just not bold enough to just go against their family and say, hey, this is what we own. Are you following? So that's kind of like more of what I think. Now, I know at the Marriott, they met with some people that were hunting for office. I want to say Atlanta, Alabama. It was a few candidates that had some type of gathering at the Marriott, and that was like a meet and greet. I was not able to make that. I heard some things about it. There was another brother. He was talking about a march, in March on Selma.
Yes.
And
Yes. Brother Travis, Black Dollars University.
Yeah. So he put that out there, but the most that I took away from it was just that go back to your community. Now it's time for you to go back to your community and do the work. And for those that have been doing the work, just to be able to connect with those who may be a little bit more advanced, so you can hit your structure a little bit better.
Right.
And that's my takeaway from the conference.
That's a good takeaway, fam. And believe it or not, I said earlier in the broadcast, I thought Project Takeover was the most ingenious damn thing. And you're right, we're gonna have some challenges. They will vet us. It's not like we're gonna just be able to traipse in there and be like, okay, niggas, we here. You know what I'm saying? That's not how that's gonna crack, right? That's not
That's
not how that's gonna crack.
20 people come and show up and sign up, and they like, come on now, like we heard it. Like
they know what it is,
strategy.
right? But over time, we do need it. Even and one other thing I wanted to say about Project Takeover, we don't necessarily need all of us to join en masse, right? Brother Chris and a whole bunch of other folk, Antonio and a whole bunch of other folk were able to get the leadership of the LA chapter of the Urban League to go against National in supporting the submission of an amicus brief in support of the Civil Rights Act of 1866.
Yes,
you feel me?
So yeah.
I mean,
some is like still rooted in the community and want to do the work.
There are.
So
I think we need to
support
those local chapters that are still having an effect in the local communities and encourage them to be more independent of the national leadership that are beholden to corporate interests and corporate money. You see what I'm saying? Right? So it's not necessarily that we necessarily need to jump in there and just immediately like run roughshod, right? We can have an influence even from outside for those chapters, those local chapters that are still amenable to hearing from the community, that are willing to hear advocacy and stand up from the community. So, Ibrahim, I'm glad you brought that up, fam. Go ahead, fam. I'm gonna let you speak. What else did you want to address tonight?
That's pretty much it. I just wanted to give you my opinion from the inside, and on top of what I said, the next thing I took away, it was just all love. It was just a black space that black people control. It was all love. And that's the biggest. It was just all love. Everybody just came together and shared their information and sharing resources, and I think it just strengthened the core. And like I said, these were the ones that was fortunate enough to be able to jump on the plane, or rent a car, and get the hotel room. When she said that, I felt the same way, right? This is part of the tip of the spear who is in a more fortunate position to take time off from work and probably had a few dollars to get down. She did
acknowledge that. She talked about how she said, look, she said, This is how much we lacking in resources. How many of you wanted to be here today and couldn't be? So Sister Yvette was on point with it. Like I didn't take that necessarily as shade. That was just simply
Also, one more thing.
Go ahead, fam.
I want to say about 10% of the people at the conference was non-ADOS. So there was a lot of allies that showed up also.
Absolutely. Ibrahim, didn't Serena Harris kill it?
Yeah. See, man, the thing about living in a white neighborhood, that I didn't like. That blew me. That blew me. That blew like they even look at your area code and say,
exactly. That's how they still do redlining on us, fam. They don't have to ask you your race. Serena laid it all out for us.
And she posted her slideshow in the ADOS Facebook group for those who want to go back over. And I'm trying to get Tone and Yvette and everybody else who did a presentation. I know Miss Margaret, Critical Side Eye, posted hers also, but I would like for everybody to post theirs in the Facebook group.
Yeah,
also,
absolutely.
So Ibrahim,
did I make you a mod to where you can share links and stuff like that, fam? Because if I didn't, go ahead and pop your name in the chat, and whatever resources you can link us to, go ahead and link those resources to us, fam. We'd appreciate it.
Okay, we'll do. All right, thanks so much for having me. And,
always a pleasure, dear brother. Salam to you.
We got boots on the ground
in
Indianapolis, and all right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Peace. Yeah, fam, they not gonna roll over for us. Like Alma said, bootlicks gonna be bootlicks. It is what it is, but we have to challenge them. All right. Well, damn it, I'm sorry. I got in the habit of clicking decline. Call back. I'm sorry, fam. Call back because I want to hear whoever it is from caller 323. Please give me a call back. But yeah, Serena was great. Paul Sowers was amazing. Here we go. All right, you tried long enough calling from 323. It's your man Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? But what's
Brother
on your
Black,
mind?
This is Chad from Los Angeles.
Chad,
Brother
go
Black,
ahead,
how
fam.
you doing, man? How you feeling?
You was blowing me up, fam. I don't have it set up yet where I can take
That
multiple calls.
was another 323. That wasn't me.
That
I was actually
you?
watching the show
okay.
and I heard all the rings and I was like, I'm going to wait till the last call to finish. Right?
There you go. I appreciate it. Fam. I appreciate it. Chad, how was the conference, fam? Talk to us.
All right, man. Like the last brother was completely on point. It was an amazing experience. It was a completely ADOS black space. And we descended on Louisville and pretty much took over the city, right?
That's what's up.
And so it was literally like, you meeting long lost family that everybody's in the like mind, everybody's on the same accord, everybody's working towards this same goal of restoration and reparation, right?
Absolutely.
So as far as just the fellowship aspect of it, it couldn't have been greater, right? Like I told you, I called you before I went to Louisville. I was taking my daughter, and I watched her grow up just in front of my eyes, right? Because we live in Los Angeles where we don't really have those spaces, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't think about it, but we've been gentrified and dispersed out of Los Angeles, so we don't really have community anymore, right? So it's we're all over the place and just and disparate from each other, right? Disconnected. So going there to Louisville, taking my daughter and having her see like Simmons College, St. Stephen's, and all these beautiful people who it wasn't even like I'm meeting, like I feel like I met you for the first time, but I know you my whole life.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So everything was a hug. Everything was just like fam, like, oh my God, so I can't even put in the proper perspective how much love and fellowship was within Louisville over those past 2 days, right?
Yes, sir.
But I did want to talk about some of your criticism because I do believe you are completely valid in a lot of what you said about it. It was a lot of inspiration, but it was a little light on information. But from this standpoint, right, you have to view this first annual as the coming out party.
Exactly.
Right? So this was the time when we're announcing, like, we're not Russians, we're not bots. Let's cut all that off, right? And we're showing that not only do we have numbers here, but we got numbers because like you said, we ADOS. And like everybody could not have the luxury of being there and having a hotel room and making that travel, right? So it was us with a show of strength. And you were in the military, you understand. You show your strength, right?
That's
and
right.
You sit down like, hey, we building an army over here, and that's what I think was more so what this was about. The first annual was convening the people who have been, organizing virtually for all this time, putting faces. Like Yvette was she was so gracious. Antonio, everybody that presented was so gracious in taking pictures, in shaking hands, and meeting people, being genuinely, interested in, like, who are you and where did you come from, and hearing stories, right? And so the emotion of all of that was overwhelming to a lot of people, right? Like it was a love fest, like I said, a family reunion. So I put it in the context, and I'm like you, I'm a militant radical, right? Like I'm already like in the private spaces. The very first things I'm talking about is, okay, now we need to fund this revolution. We need to be talking about Super PAC, right? So like I told you, I'm carrying your message of Super PAC and Black radicalism. Like, we don't need to, like, and that's something else I wanted to touch on that I think came out of this conference, is that we had a lot of people there from all walks of life. Like the brother said, it was like 10% ADOS, non-ADOS there, right? But we also, which I was pleased to see, we had a lot of elders in the room.
Yes.
We had a lot of the boomer generation in the room. We had a lot of, like, people who aren't necessarily engaged on social media, but have heard about ADOS and wanted to be there and had the means to be there, right?
Yes.
And I had a lot of conversations with those folks. And so one of the sessions that we had towards the end with, Critical Side Eye was about social media training, right? And I think that was something essential. But for us, we look at that as like, hey, that's more 101, right? Like, we already got that. Now tell me how to use it, right? Tell me how to use that weapon that I already got locked and loaded, right? So I wanted to just say to you, I 100% agree with you that for the public consumption, it was more so a reinforcement, like the brother said, and strengthening that core, right? Yeah. But you got to know that the other extremities were in those rooms behind the scenes getting stronger, right? And talking about how do we connect ADOS SoCal with ADOS NorCal more, and with
that
ADOS
was
Chicago.
Okay. So there was that piece there, because you remember I mentioned I wanted to see that begin at the ADOS conference. So I'm glad to hear that piece was there.
100%. 100%. So not only that, but then people asking, how do I start a chapter in my local area? Like, how do I go back home and carry this? And so there was a lot of transference of that type of information happening as well that couldn't happen on a stage like that, because number one, we don't want to be public with everything, as you know, right? Yeah. Like, we want to have those spaces where we can strategize and we can come up with strategies where they don't see us coming, right? Where like Project Takeover, I 100% agree with that. I think we need to infiltrate those groups. We need to take back our institutions. And that's a long-term project, like the brother said, but it starts now, right? And I think what has happened now on the heels of this conference is, like he said, people are emboldened, right? Like we now, like, I'm talking to folks on Twitter now. I was like, oh no, I know who this is, right? Versus just an Avi and a Twitter handle, right? So it took it to that next level of, now I can reach out and touch these people. I told everybody I met, I said, look, if you ever in LA or anywhere in the area, you hit me up, and you got family if you need it.
That's
right?
it.
If you need anything, right? And that in and of itself is what strengthens those bonds, right? It's a tie that binds, right? And so I want you, and again, I 100% agree with you, because I'm of the same mindset, and we all want to be marching on Washington tomorrow, right? Like, what's the reparations right? that we hear? Like, we all want to be doing that. But as we know, it's a process, right?
Exactly.
And it's steps in this game to build it and get, because we are so, and one of the things that I also wanted to touch on is, if anybody in the chat was you want to get a clearer understanding of kind of where we were coming from and where Yvette and Tone and all the speakers were coming from, please pick up that MLK book, Where Do We Go From Here, and read it and ingest that. Because the parallels between what MLK was talking about in 68 are so vivid to what we are living today. Now, of course, his plan needs to be updated. It needs to be optimized for what we are dealing with today. And in a way, we're actually starting at a point that was before MLK. We were behind him because he didn't have to deal with this identity issue. Yeah. If you were a Negro in the 60s, you knew you were a Negro, and the face next to you was a Negro, right? And you all had the same,
that was pretty much
common lineage. Exactly. Yeah. So we actually had to start from a point of establishing our identity, right? Which is square number one. Like we had to get that on that square first.
That's right.
So
Claim the
I
name.
believe that this conference was that galvanizing of that identity and letting people know, like, hey, you're not alone out here. Like, not only are you not alone, but you got brothers and sisters from all walks of life that got your back, that are family, that you like. I didn't meet anybody that I didn't hug. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was like one of those things. And people are finding me just based on my Twitter handle, things like that. Like, oh, brother, I had to come talk to you. I'm like, yeah, let's talk. Let's build, right? So we know that those are the arenas where revolutions are fomented, right? That's
right.
where it occurs in those personal spaces, in those close spaces, private spaces where people are connected. And we find synergies. Like I came home with all kinds of ideas that were away from what was presented on the stage, right? Things that I want to do in my local area. Things that I want to bring to. Yeah.
Let me tell you, to show you that that all of this came from nothing but a place of love. I am going to be 2020 at the ADOS, the second annual ADOS conference. If I have to walk to wherever it is, I will be there.
Well, let me
without question.
Let me tell you this too, Brother Black, because we know life happens and things occur, right? If you ever need assistance getting to the ADOS conference, reach out to the family. Like, I know we all go through these things, right? Yeah. We all are dealing. We all live in this ADOS life. And so one of the things that I mentioned to folks is like it was a brother that had a blowout driving up to Louisville, right?
Tweet. Yeah, when he put it up on Twitter, I retweeted it to make sure that the fam knew that he had a flat so somebody could get to him.
And the fam reached out and helped that brother. I met him at the hotel. We were staying at the same hotel. I was like, oh, fam, I'm so glad you made it, right?
Yeah.
But that's the type of networks we are building. That's the type of networks we have to build. Because we are wealthless like we are, we have to tap into each other on a grand scale. You know what I'm saying? So I want to put that message out to you and anybody on this call before 2020. If you need help getting to the conference, or you need I had a room with 2 queen beds, just me and my daughter. You could crash on the floor. You know what I'm saying?
Shit, I ain't too proud. You know what I'm saying? I'm not too proud to crash on the floor.
And I'm not too proud. You know what I'm saying? So
you feel me?
It's like if I can open my arms up and help anybody that's like-minded, the soldiers on the ground, you know, because somebody goes down, somebody takes a hit in the field, no man left behind.
That's
you know what
right.
I'm saying? I'm grabbing that person I'm grabbing you by the vest, and I'm going as long as I can walk, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to take you to safety. I'm going to try to get you back to your tribe, back to your people.
Yes,
so
sir.
In advance of 2020, what we also need to be talking about is we want to help people get there, right?
Yeah.
Like if somebody needs a ticket, if somebody needs a ride, right? Because that's the other thing. Like, we got there and it was like because normally I'm catching Ubers and Lyfts or whatever wherever I'm going, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this was like, hey, hop in the car, fam. We heading this way. Oh, we heading here, fam. Hop in the car, right? So it's me and my daughter, you know. So
that's right.
All of these things, man. I wanted to just like give you that sense of the family vibe that was happening out there, right? Because it was like, even if I don't know your name, right, but you got an ADOS T-shirt on, I'm coming, I'm going to figure out who are you, what's your name, where you from, you my family, you my brother, you my sister, and it's all love. Just know that, right? So the other brother touched on some of the meetups that were happening, like at the Marriott on the first night, meeting up at there was a black-owned restaurant at Franco's. If you ever in Louisville, go to Franco's. So yeah, man, soul food. It was delicious. The fam came in there and brought him a date like he's never seen. You know
That's
what I'm
talking about.
Those are the things that were occurring outside of just the speakers, because the speakers were already it was all phenomenal. Like I didn't. There was what, you know, my man that came from Congress on the budget committee. You know, he said a couple things, but
he got checked quick.
He got checked quick, right?
Quick.
And that's what. See, I think people hadn't really seen anything like. I think there were some people that are like, whoa, right? But you got to know, take that back home. You hear something foul, check that shit, because the family got you.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? We got that message. We got you. And if you need backup, put it out there, and we got your back. So
that's right.
I don't want to minimize that aspect of it, because I do think at the end of the day, this was the coming out party of ADOS.
That's
We were
right.
announcing to Democrats and Republicans, and as you see, they tried to do all these competing events. You know, they got this young black professionals with nobody's ADOS in the room. They got immigrants trying to speak for us, right?
Yep.
But out of that, we got a Trump saying, you guys black people built America.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That is no coincidence.
Nope.
That didn't just occur out of nowhere. He's saying that because he sees us causing these problems for the Democratic Party. That is what's happening. He sees an opening. He sees a vulnerability.
I'm not mad, and I don't care what his motivation is. See, that's the best part about this ADOS advocacy.
Yep.
We don't have to worry at all about what everybody else is motivated by. We are a single
100%.
issue advocacy group. Our tribe is
100%.
about our tribe, period.
Yes, 100%. And so I want you to also know that, you know, like I said, behind the scenes, in the chat I said this as well, like, we are like like-minded people were getting together and building on that next level. Like I had some conversations with Chris from Sacramento. I'm in LA,
that
right?
Brother's dope.
He's hitting me up on a text, and we are now talking about ways to take these groups and take this area to the next level, right?
Yes.
So that is what had to occur. But I think at that first step, while we were sitting on go for the longest time, right, to take that first step, we had to just announce ourselves.
Yep.
And that's what this conference was. It was a reinforcement and announcement to the world that we, like you said, we've been saying we coming for the longest. Now we here, right? And you see us. So cut all that bot shit out, cut all that like Russian MAGA shit out. You see what's happening, because a mass of black people came from all across the country. And I was like, to the fam in Chicago and the fam in Georgia that made like journeys to be there, right?
Yeah.
I salute you. It was a crazy contingent from California, right? Like we was deep off in there.
I bet y'all was.
The fam,
I know
yeah,
Chris.
man, the fam.
I know y'all was deep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the fam came deep, you know what I'm saying, to represent and just be there to show that, no, we standing in solidarity with each other. This is a unity movement, and we showing that we unified in this. And of course, you're going to have different opinions on directionality and what we should be, you know, taking as next steps. But the wonderful thing about it is it's always coming from a place of love. And everything you said, I took from a place of love, right? Because you know, Brother Black, we want the same thing. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day.
That's
so
facts.
It's never coming off. It's never coming off like, oh, you know, here's what we need to be doing. Like, no. It's like, hey, here's how I think we could get to this goal a little bit faster. Like, maybe we try this, right? Like, oh, fam, I see you over here working like this. Let me help you out on that, right? Yep. So that's what was occurring, is a galvanization of ADOS, right? And taking us offline.
Brother Afro Troop said in the chat that Yvette is the mother of ADOS. I could not agree more. It's funny that you said that, 100. Afro Troop, because when she was up there on that stage, I was saying the whole time, get him, mama. Get him.
Yes.
Get him.
Yes.
You know what? I revere that in Tone and Yvette. I give them full 100% credit for giving birth to a baby that they husbanding and they nursing and that they care for and that they love. There would never be no disrespect or shade coming from me. I will say 100%. This. I will say this. The thing is that and brother, you know, I want to thank you for, you know, for just elaborating and letting us know that, you know, because I expected this. I described it as our coming out party, right? I expected this to be what it's going to be. You see what I'm saying? Right. So there was nothing that happened there that I was like, oh, what is this shit? You know what I mean? No, it was
no, not at all. Not at all.
It was everything. Could there have been a little bit more me like that I would have liked in the live stream? Yep. But I understand also too that part of this, at least an initial piece of it, is inspiration, right? We needed to know that we are a thing. It's one thing to see everybody, you know, via Twitter or via Facebook. It's a whole nother bag when you sitting there hugging your brother or your sister, when you know, kissing their babies and so on and so forth. You feel me? Right? So, you know, man, I can't thank you enough for just the spirit you bring to this thing, that understanding that in all things, right? Every area of our activity in our lives is ADOS. We have to be together in this, period. It
Yes.
can't be no
Yes.
hesitancy. It can't be no reticence. No, well, what about this? Or what about, we ain't got time for all of that, right? You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate where you coming from on that. Fam, I'm not certain what's going on here, but look like YouTube might be messing with me. You still with me?
I'm with you. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, fam. Yeah, it was saying something about the connection or whatever. But
Okay.
yeah, event's probably gonna be broadcasted here pretty soon. I'm gonna start to wrap it up. So thank you, man, for Chad. Don't be a stranger, fam. You always welcome to give me a
Brother
call.
Black, I'm not gonna be a stranger. And I
Yes,
love what
sir.
you said about Yvette being a mother, and just like a child growing up, right?
Yeah.
I feel like this was one of our seminal moments, right? Like she birthed us, but now we walking on our own, right?
That's right.
Like
And
we out of
it's
diapers,
time
we
for the
walking
baby
on
to
our
make
own.
history.
Exactly. So
It's
Brother
time for the
Black,
baby to
like I
make
always
history.
say, we're gonna win this thing. You keep doing what you do,
I
right?
will, sir.
I know you're gonna keep coming on here. You're gonna keep talking unapologetically about Black empowerment, about ADOS, about
All
this
day.
reparations push. So I love you, brother.
I love you
and like
too,
I
brother.
said, 2020, I think what you're gonna feel and what you're gonna see is we're gonna move that next step, right? Now
Yes,
the baby
sir.
done grown up, right? The baby might be able to throw a little hands, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's gonna get more serious and more real, because you got people like me all across this country. You got thousands of people just like me that came back to their local spaces fired up.
Absolutely.
Fired up on Monday.
As a matter of
right?
fact, fam,
ready
I'm gonna
to go,
touch base.
Ready to go to war.
I'm gonna touch base with Brother Travis and have him on the broadcast to talk about the march that he's wanting to do in Selma, right? Because this ain't gonna be like it was back in the. We ain't taking no ass whoopings and no L's.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
We damn sure ain't
Like,
taking no ass.
yeah, we not going down to Selma on that. No, we coming down there to show we enforce and to wake up our brothers and sisters in the South, all throughout the South, to cleave to their heritage and lineage. So I can't wait to talk to that brother more about it. Chad, brother, always a pleasure, man. I love you. Give my love to your kiddos. You know what I'm saying? And you stay up, fam. I appreciate your input.
Love to you, fam.
And sharing,
Absolutely.
sharing with us about the conference, fam.
Absolutely, man. You have a good one. I'll see you in the event chat.
Yes, sir. Peace. Yeah, fam. I hope I made it clear that whatever little lightweight criticisms I might have had, I'm open for discussion, right? I want us to understand that this is a family thing. Family talk to family open, honest. I didn't go behind Yvette and Tone back and throw shade at them where they couldn't address it. I didn't come up with no fuck boy video, claiming I respect them but hating on them. No, I had some issues, some things that I thought I wanted to see addressed, and I'm certain that there will be more clarification, more information, and so on and so forth. And I look forward to it just as we all should. Fam, it's getting about that time. We've been at it. There was another caller from 323. They kept trying to call in. If you want to try to call in now, I'll take your call and it'll be the last one. But fam, I want you to understand something. This ADOS conference, if nothing, there's my man, Brother Travis, Black Dollars. Fam, I need to get with you because we need to have a discussion about the march. I want you on the broadcast, right? So hit me up, blackoutcastmedia@gmail. blackoutcastmedia@gmail. Hit me up. We're going to organize. I'm going to try to get you on the broadcast, fam, so we can talk about the march because I want to start hammering that home, fam. Before we go, I got so many people to shout out. I got to shout out Richard. Richard, I see you, fam. Sister August, shalom to you. Brother Tazabah, shalom to you. D. Will, peace to you. Melanation, I didn't shout you out. Peace to you. Didn't have to be here running wild. Tanzania, boom. You know where you at with me. Stakes is high. Fam, I give nothing but love to Dr. Claude Anderson, all right? When I say mother, I mean it figuratively. Don't take it personal, fam. Ibrahim called it, Sister Kimberly. Kimberly, I thought it might be about that backlash, and we're going to have a discussion on that. Right? We're going to have to have a discussion on that because we got to get away from being afeared of people telling us, oh, well, your ancestors died for the right for you to vote. No, my ancestors died for freedom. Right? We're gonna have to have another discussion about that, right? But Afro Troopers representing, let's see here, who else I didn't shout out? Kay Elise, I see you, sister. Peace and welcome to you. Unsucking one. Damn, where the hell you been, fam? I love you. Where you been? Peace, welcome. Wow, so many. Fam, I appreciate, as always, your time, your eyes. I hope that I have been respectful of your heart, your minds, your time, your efforts. For those of you, Brother Vernell, Virginia, Tanzonia, Marshall, and all the rest of you who contributed via Super Chat, you know I appreciate you. If it was $1, I'd appreciate you. I appreciate you if you didn't contribute any damn thing, but I especially appreciate the support. Schoolie Girl 6, what's good, fam? I see you. It's good to see you as well. B1, right? Fam, I'm probably not going to broadcast Wednesday, right? Because this broadcast is taking a lot out of me. And y'all know I'm dealing with some health issues, so I'm gonna keep it a buck. Wednesday, I'm probably not going to broadcast, but I will be here for Sucker Free Saturday. I postponed Saturday's broadcast to let everybody who was at the conference get home, get safe. I wanted them to come and participate. John, I see you, fam. I didn't miss you. So Wednesday, no broadcast, no Hump Day broadcast, but there will be a Sucker Free Saturday broadcast, fam. Couple of things before we go. Make sure to tune in to Sister Yvette tonight. As always, let's show her our love. Let's show her our support. Let's give her those eyes, give her those thumbs. She shouldn't need to ask for you to put up those thumbs. When you show up in the chat, you need to be hitting her up. You feel me? You need to hit them thumbs. Let YouTube know this is the content you want to see, right? Support your interests. For those of you who are new members of Angry Black Sheep, I love you. You are the best group of supporters and subs a brother could ever have. I hope to stay worthy, to continue to be worthy of your eyes, your time, your love, and your support. Right? For those of you who support me financially, know that I don't even have words. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I thank you. And for those of you who are getting what you need, crumble me. I see you, fam. For those of you who are getting what you need from this broadcast, who are leaving here inspired, informed, ready to go out and do this advocacy, know this. That is my only goal, is to make more of me in you. So with that said, fam, as always, I want to wish you all love, peace, prosperity, and power, real power to our tribe and our people.